Through Birds on Farms program, BirdLife Australia is supporting landholders to learn more about birds and also to create bird-friendly habitats on their properties, while maintaining and even increasing the productivity of their farms. Adding native vegetation to your property is not only beneficial for birds, but it can improve farm productivity. For example, shelter belts provide shade and shelter for stock. They also reduce erosion and evapotranspiration from the adjoining paddocks. Revegetating creek lines and dams can slow and filter water runoff, reduce erosion and improve water quality. Birds are also an excellent natural control for pest insects. If you would like to encourage birds onto your farm, there are several things you can do. Here are our top 5. Number 1, protecting and improving remnant woodland. Remnant woodland provides important habitat for many of our native species. When it is in good condition, it contains trees of varying ages, a shrub layer, some ground cover, multiple tree hollows and lots of leaf litter and woody debris. These characteristics can take decades to develop and are important to protect. Many of our threatened and declining species rely on remnant woodland for nesting and feeding. Even if your remnant only consists of a patch of mature trees, it's very important to protect this habitat. It will take decades for new trees to reach this maturity and a chance to form hollows. If you want to protect remnant woodland, you can fence it off or you can exclude stock from using the area. So once stock is removed from the area, some trees and shrubs will regenerate naturally. To further improve the quality of your remnant, you can add shrubs or ground cover plants and install some nest boxes. Number 2, our next tip is creating areas of new vegetation. If you've already protected your remnant vegetation or your property is a blank slate, you can create new areas of vegetation for birds to use. Planting native trees, shrubs, ground covers and grasses is called revegetation. It can be hard to decide where to start with your revegetation projects. One of the best places to start is to build on already existing habitat. This means that you won't just expand the area of habitat, but you also make it more diverse by introducing new plant species and adding plants of different ages. You can also connect existing areas of habitat, either on your property or outside. Connecting areas of vegetation means that birds will be able to move through the landscape and access more resources. Linking your revegetation to roadside vegetation or vegetation along waterways will provide great connectivity. But creating new habitat anywhere would be beneficial. Just make sure you create structural diversity by planting a mix of trees and shrubs. And also make sure that you plant a diversity of species. Birds need structural diversity, and a wider variety of plant species will attract a wider variety of birds. Revegetation areas should be fenced off to protect the new plants while they get established. Our 3rd tip is protecting paddock trees. Paddock trees are some of the oldest living structures on farms and provide valuable habitat for lots of birds that rely on hollows. It usually takes more than 100 years before a tree will start developing a hollow, and even longer before this hollow will be large enough to be used by parrots, such as the threatened superb parrot and cockatoos for breeding. Large trees tend to produce more flowers and attract lots of nectar-feeding birds. The flowers also attract lots of insects, which is great for birds that feed on the insects. Isolated paddock trees are often the only vegetation structure in an otherwise cleared paddock, so they are important stepping stones for birds as they move across the landscape. They provide shelter from predators and the weather, an area to rest and an opportunity for the birds to fuel up. Multiple scattered paddock trees allow birds to jump from one to the next until they reach a larger area of suitable habitat. Our 4th tip is adding more shrubs to the landscape. Shrubs are often absent from agricultural landscapes, but they can be the most important vegetation layer for native birds. Many small to medium-sized birds will only persist in areas that have that healthy shrub layer. Shrubs provide nesting and roosting sites that are less detectable and accessible to predators. Shrubs are especially important to the smallest bird species because they provide a safe place to shelter from aggressive species such as noisy miners that will chase other birds out of their territory and dominate a patch of habitat. Shrubs are an important food source. They produce fruits and seeds, and they attract insects that form a significant part of the diet of numerous bird species. And our final tip is revegetating your farm dam. Healthy farm dams with lots of vegetation and clean water are hotspots for biodiversity, including birds. They provide reliable areas for drinking, bathing and nesting, especially in times of drought. Healthy dams are also great for the farm. Waterbirds such as ducks and herons help control pest insects in surrounding paddocks and crops. And vegetation around dams promotes the natural filtration of sediments and pollutants. It slows runoff and reduces erosion during heavy rainfall, improving the overall water quality. Trees around the dams will also shelter the dam from wind and sun and increase the water retention in the dam. To improve the quality of your dam, you need to fence it or exclude or reduce access of livestock. Once stock has been excluded, revegetation may happen naturally, but you can speed it up by planting ground cover along the perimeter of the dam for filtration and to prevent erosion. Floating vegetation in the dam and trees and shrubs set back a bit further provide habitat and shade the dam. You can further improve the habitat of your dam by including some old logs as perches for ducks and other birds. So those are the top 5 tips for creating a bird-friendly farm from the Birds on Farms team at BirdLife Australia.